You know, when we think about life insurance, we usually think of it as a payout for our loved ones way down the road. But what if you could tap into that value right now, when you might actually need it most? Okay, let's dive into a really fascinating corner of finance and look at two ways to do exactly that: viatical and life settlements.
I mean, it's a pretty powerful question, right? Imagine you're facing a serious illness. Or, hey, maybe your financial goals for retirement have just changed from when you first bought that policy. The need for cash right here, right now, can become incredibly urgent. And that exact problem is what created this whole specialized market for selling your life insurance policy.
So where did this all start? Well, the first answer to pop up was something called a viatical settlement. This was the original model, the first of its kind, that let policyholders get cash for their insurance while they were still alive.
So what does that actually mean in plain English? Well, a person, who's called the viator, sells their policy to a third-party company for a lump sum of cash. Now, this payment is more than what you'd get for just surrendering the policy, but it's less than the full death benefit. And from there, the buyer takes over the whole thing.
But here's the catch. Getting a viatical settlement was and still is incredibly strict. The policy owner has to be either chronically or terminally ill. And chronically ill has a really specific legal meaning, like not being able to handle basic daily activities on your own. Terminally ill is also defined very, very precisely.
And this is the magic number, 24. To be considered terminally ill for one of these settlements, a doctor has to certify that the person isn't expected to live for more than 24 months. That 2-year window, that's the absolute key that makes this whole transaction work.
So what happens after the sale goes through? Well, the buyer, who's called the VIT, takes on the job of paying all the future premiums. And in exchange for that, when the original policy owner passes away, the VIT gets to collect the full death benefit. It's a financial arrangement built around a really tough, but very real human situation.
As you can probably guess, those super strict health requirements meant that very few people could actually use this option. This created a huge gap in the market, an opening for a more flexible solution that could help a lot more people, and that's where the life settlement comes in.
Okay, so you're probably looking at this and thinking, wait a second. That definition looks almost exactly the same as the viatical one, right? You're still selling a policy to a third party, you're still getting more than the cash value but less than the death benefit. But there is one massive difference.
And this is it. This is the absolute game changer. With a life settlement, your health is not the main thing that qualifies you. You don't need a specific diagnosis from a doctor. You could sell your policy for literally any reason at all. Maybe the premiums are just getting too expensive, or maybe you just need the money to have a more comfortable retirement. The choice is yours.
All right, we've gone over both of them, so let's put them head to head. Let's make this distinction crystal clear so there's no confusion.
Okay, check this out. On one side, you have the viatical settlement. This is a needs-based medical solution, strictly for the chronically or terminally ill, and because of that, the payout is often tax-free. On the other side, you have the life settlement. This is the modern, broader evolution of that idea. It's open to policy owners for any reason, which really transforms a policy from just a safety net into a flexible financial tool.
Now, just to be super clear, it's also really important to understand what a life settlement isn't. The term has a specific legal meaning, and it's totally different from other ways you might tap into your policy's value.
So remember, a life settlement is a direct sale of your policy. It's not the same as using your policy as collateral for a loan, and it's not a policy loan you get from the insurance company itself. It's not a tax-free swap for a different policy, and it doesn't cover those informal handshake deals between family members. All of those are completely separate financial moves with their own set of rules.
So after all that, if you're going to walk away from this explainer remembering just one single thing, what should it be?
The crucial point is this. It all boils down to eligibility based on health. The real, fundamental difference between a viatical settlement and a life settlement is simply who is allowed to sell. One is for people facing a serious illness. The other is for anyone who decides that selling your policy is the right financial move for them at that time.
And that leaves us with one final big picture thought. As we all live longer and our financial needs in retirement get more and more complex, could this idea of seeing a life insurance policy not just as a death benefit, but as a flexible, sellable asset, could that become a standard part of how we all manage our personal wealth? It's definitely something to think about.